Hello, everyone. I am Tim of the Art Nation. This is the Hyde Project, Puzzling Words, and today I want to cover a document, give the very first part, which I consider one of the most important parts of understanding, of a document that created the bond that allowed the American people to stand up against the British Empire and create this country called the United States. This is Common Sense, addressed to the inhabitants of America on the following interesting subjects. Paragraph 1. Introduction. Perhaps the sentiments contained in the following pages are not yet sufficiently fashionable to procure them general favor. A long habit of not thinking a thing wrong gives a superficial appearance of being right, and raising at first a formidable outcry in defense of a custom. But as the confusion and disorder soon subsides, time makes more converts than reason. Going to the fifth paragraph. Some writers have so confounded society with government as to leave little or no distinction between them, whereas they are not only different, but have different origins. Society is produced by our wants, and government by our wickedness. The former promotes our happiness positively by uniting our affections, the latter negatively by restraining our vices. The one encourages intercourse, the other creates distinction. The first a patron, the last a punisher. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil. In its worst state, an intolerable one. For when we suffer, or are exposed to the same miseries by a government which we might expect in a country without government, our calamity is heightened by reflecting that we furnish the means by which we suffer. Government, like dress, is a badge of lost innocence. The palaces of kings are built on the ruins of the bowers of paradise. For were the impulses of conscience clear, uniform, and irresistible obeyed, man would need no other lawgiver, but that not being the case, he finds it necessary to surrender up part of his property to furnish means for the protection of the rest, and this he is induced to do by the same prudence which in every other case advises him out of two evils to choose the least. Wherefore, security being the true design and end of government, it unanswerably follows that whatever form therefore appears most likely to ensure it to us with the least expense and greatest benefit is preferable to all others. In order to gain a clear and just idea of the design and end of government, let us suppose a small number of persons settled in some sequestered part of the earth, unconnected with the rest. They will then represent the first peopling of any country or of the world. In this state of natural liberty, society will be their first thought. 1,000 motives will excite them thereto. The strength of one man is so unequal to his wants, and his mind so unfitting for perpetual solitude, he is soon obliged to seek assistance and relief of another, who in his turn requires the same. 4 or 5 united would be able to raise a tolerable dwelling in the midst of a wilderness. But one man might labor out of the common period of life without accomplishing anything. When he had felled his timber, he could not move it nor erect it after it was removed. Hunger in the means would urge him from his work, and every different want call him a different way. Disease, nay, even a misfortune, would be death, for neither might be mortal, yet either would disable him from living and reduce him to a state in which he might rather be said to perish than to die. Thus a necessity, like a gravitating power, would soon form our newly immigrants into society, the reciprocal blessings of which would supersede and render the obligations of law and government unnecessary while they remained perfectly just to each other, but as nothing but heaven is impregnable to vice, it will unavoidably happen that in proportion as they surmount the first difficulties of immigration, which bound them together in a common cause, they will begin to relax in their duty and attachment to each other, and this remissness will point out the necessity of establishing some form of government to supply the defect of moral virtue. Here then is the origin and rise of government, namely a mode rendered necessary by the inability of moral virtue to govern the world. Here too is the design and end of government, viz., freedom and security. However prejudice may warp our wills or interests darken our understanding, the simple voice of nature and of reason will say it be right.